All right, so let's bring the March Parks and Recs Commission meeting to order. And it is what, 7? I have 7 o'clock, but I know that's wrong. So it's around 7 o'clock. 7:05, sounds good. Someone's at the door.
You're good, keep going.
I can't see the slides. Hold on here. Oh, here we go. Wait.
Oh, okay.
Do you have, I don't have,
Give me a second. I'm trying to do the minutes all at the same time. Okay. So we've got that.
It's okay. Saul's going to entertain us with some singing.
You really don't want that.
Okay. There's our agenda. Can you see that one, Kevin?
I cannot. I'm still on the call to order and meeting room protocol slide.
Okay, so I can run through it. So we have call to order, commissioner updates,
Yeah.
acceptance of minutes. The it should be Littleton.
All right, I think I got it here.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yep. All right. So commissioner updates. Do we have any updates?
I have none.
We had a CPC meeting last week. A couple things went through that I think you all want to be aware of. One is they had a discussion on the percentage buckets. And the way it broke down this year is rec is at 20%, housing is at 20%, historical's at 18%, open space is at 40%, and administrative is at 2%. So that is going to go in effect for the next fiscal year. The other agenda item that you want to be up to date on is there was a CPC request that was put underneath recreation. It involved essentially a connection between the Cooper and the new Wellington property and a bridge that goes over a small stream, if you can call it a stream. The request was for $15K. More importantly, I think it connects the neighborhoods to Goldsmith and to other areas. Not another way to get to the town commons, as well as places like the Long Lake. So I thought that was a good request. And serves a good need for the town. I think that's probably the two salient points that I took away from that meeting.
So, Mike, is it behind like that new development there where the Cooper property is, and it just connects like that back? It connects.
So there's a new subdivision going in there called the Wellington Subdivision, and we're connected too. So, Cooper already has a trail system. Wellington will have one, and they basically stop right at the bridge, right at the stream. Sure. And so this is going to allow them to connect, they're going to build a bridge across that body of water. Nice. It's really a small body of water, but it's wetlands. And so I see the reason why they're treading lightly and find it, important to do it right and, build a bridge to connect the two walkways.
Sure. Very good. So I know, Alicia, did you end up, I did respond. I'm not sure if you had set up a sports council meeting.
I did not. That was something in conversation with Tim that he and John wanted to take over. So I was allowing them to do so. But it did send out, yes, that email to the group of us that we want to set up a time. So I will double check with Tim tomorrow because I do want that to get scheduled sooner than later. We're kind of running out of time here for sports seasons to start in spring. So, yep. So I will check in with him tomorrow and make sure that we can get something out to all of those groups so that we can get together sooner than later.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Saul, any updates?
Nothing from me.
All right. Let's see. Acceptance of minutes. So did everyone get a chance to review the minutes?
Did. Yes.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was in February.
Second.
All right. Roll call vote. So Sean,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
and Kevin is a yes.
Okay, let's see. Got that. Got the minutes. We did that. All right. So the next one that's on there is Littleton High School drama. So we do have Adam DeCoste here. And so he was going to speak with us just a little bit to check back in as an update for the dates that are actually being requested for the filming of Romeo and Juliet at the Castle and Trees. So, Adam, I will turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you all again. So here are the dates. In March, it's rehearsing, so it's less disruptive. We really just hope to kind of have some priority, and if people want to, be on the playground around us, that's all right. But on those days, we'd like to have a chance to get the actors on the playground before we film, so they can be comfortable with the blocking and where the cameras will be and those kinds of things, and so that we can kind of make sure our plan for where the cameras are all good ideas. I'm sure some of them are. And then in April, those days are our filming days. So we're hoping to only use 4 days at the park to get all of the scenes we need done at Castle in the Trees, and then everything else we'll be able to do at Russell Street and Shaker Lane. So the days there are so Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday on that first week of April, or I guess it's the second week, the 5th to the 9th. That Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are our days we hope to use that week, and then the following Monday as well. Right, okay, I got my schedule here. Okay, the 12th. So the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 12th are the days we hope to use, as long as the weather, cooperates. Everything else is rain dates, just in case, it downpours and we don't want to have the cameras outside and all those things. So it's a bigger, it looks like a big ask, but I promise we only want to actually disrupt everything for only the 4 days. And we're trying to kind of front load it so that we're out of there before the best weather hits, even though I noticed it was packed today. So
Sure.
Yeah.
So Adam, on our graphic, it says Monday, April 5th through Friday, April 9th. That's not correct. So you just wanted like Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I heard you say.
Right. So I asked, these are the days that I emailed Alicia, and so the Wednesday and Friday of that week, we hope to be able to flex into those days if we need them.
Okay.
And kind of hoping to have your permission to use those if we need them. But ideally, I can email everyone and say, all right, we got it we got what we needed done on Monday and Tuesday. We don't need Wednesday. And then on Thursday, if we get that done, then we won't need Friday.
Sure, sure.
And same thing with, so any of those, so the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 12th are when we hope to use. Everything else is rain dates. And
I just wanted to qualify the dates. I see Friday, April 12th. That's off. I think that's a Monday.
Yeah, that's my mistake.
okay.
The 12th is a Monday. Yep.
Okay. So is the ask for the following week, Monday through Tuesday as well, all Monday through Wednesday? Is that for all 3 days?
Right, and the same thing. So we hope to only need to use Monday of that week, and then
Okay.
if we're on schedule, then that's our last day at Castle in the Trees, and none of the other dates will need to be there.
All right. Any questions?
So I assume we're going to close the park at least. Are we going to close Castle in the Trees and the basketball courts? Well, let me first question. Are we going to close we're going to close Castle in the Trees, right? So during that time?
Yeah, last meeting, the commissioners, you all voted to close the park for this time frame.
Okay.
So it is up to you about the basketball courts, if that's something, because we did also make that vote last month that we were going to open the basketball courts to the public. So, that's something you could add an amendment in if you so choose, but I do, tomorrow would like to advertise that we are going to shut down the parks at these times.
Now, would you shut down based on this schedule or the contingency? Would you put a wording in there that you need to follow up for these days? Do you see what I'm saying? Because
Right. So I would definitely, as Adam had just said, the let's see, what was it? Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of that first week of April. And then Monday, the following week, I would make sure that those are absolutely understood, that, we would close them at that time frame. And then I'll have to figure out some clever way to word that, we may also be closing on these additional days as well.
yeah,
Please
please stay tuned and come back. Yeah.
We can use social media and give people a heads up and say, hey,
Sure.
the high school drama club doesn't need the park today. It's open. Yay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So not everybody, I think, looks. I know I see a lot of people from out of town that go there and park there. Is there going to be some sort of signage as well? Saying it's closed.
Yeah, every time we've done, we've closed the parks. We do go out there and we actually put up signage. We try to do it as early as we possibly can, but it's usually at a minimum like a week ahead of time.
Okay.
And I'm happy to help with any of that to participate
Awesome.
in that process if you want. Yeah.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
Of course.
So the other question I have is the basketball courts. I don't know how, do we feel like it'd be a challenge doing the shooting and, using the basketball courts at the same time? I mean, heck, I'm not even sure there'll be snow on the ground at that point, or on the courts.
I'll be out there shoveling the park. Don't worry. I am right now in our kind of preliminary planning of kind of spacing everything out. We do have like actor holding space and certain like costumes and stuff set up on those basketball courts, but if needed, I'm sure we could. It's tough because there's not a ton of flat space out there. But we could probably only take up one of them or something. I don't want to move into the parking lot if those are going to be open to.
I would be fine. I think given where we are, more distance is better. I would be fine in just making it a broader and saying the whole 300 King is closed, for drama. That's my take. We just opened them up, so You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a huge ask.
And that would be for the April dates. The March dates, we could leave them open. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be like when you're doing the sort of the rehearsal part in March, I think that we can keep them open. I think I agree with Mike. Like we just close everything because you don't want, struggles in the parking lot and basketballs flying. I can only imagine like it's every 80s, like, teen high school movie I'm thinking of, that.
Right. It certainly makes things easier if those are closed. But yeah, I don't want to kind of impose too much if you think it's too much.
Shut them down.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of an ask. I mean, I'm fine with, closing everything in April and.
Awesome.
Given our times, I think this is really a great way of thinking out of the box and putting on a great production for the students. I mean, they've had so much taken away. To have something like this to look forward and do, I think it's awesome. So,
Thank you. Yeah, they're having fun. We actually were outside on the circle in front of the high school with the flagpole. We did half our rehearsal out there just to kind of get a feel of what it's like outside doing all this stuff. So got a little too cold and we had to move inside, but
sure, it's a bit different, huh?
It is. It's harder to hear, and like with the ambient noise on top of the masks, on top of it being Shakespeare, it's a challenge, but they're rising to it. It's been fun.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
I have one more.
Oh man, jeez.
I know it's about rehearsals, and particularly this Thursday looks like it's going to be phenomenal weather, and I'm sure Castle Natrese is going to be packed. But I'm wondering if we could take a basketball court to rehearse at. That way, we could maybe go over and the students can start seeing where the blocking is going to start happening and kind of take advantage of the good weather on that day, just so they can kind of. I've been showing them pictures and pointing at like you go here and then there and there and then there. So if I can point from closer or walk up to it and show them, but then we can easily rehearse just on the courts if it's crowded.
Sorry, guys.
So I'm sorry, so you're talking about like this Thursday, the 11th or whatever this Thursday is coming up?
Yeah, the 11th, right. Just because it's supposed to be 60.
Yeah.
So
And
I haven't been over there in a couple days. Is there still snow on the courts?
There was this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go shovel it tomorrow then.
I mean, the good news is
wouldn't shovel it till Thursday morning because somebody's going to want to use it if you shovel it.
You're right.
I biked by there about 3:00 this afternoon, and I think I saw one car in the parking lot. So it's not getting a lot of
busy.
action, huh?
I
It was
drove
pretty
by at
busy
some point
today.
before our rehearsal. It was busy. Yeah.
So
All right.
Adam, I think what I'll do is I'm working at the theater on that Thursday. So that means I usually finish up there around like 3:30. So as soon as I'm done with that, I'll come down and check in with you at the park and just make sure that, anything I can help you with or, just even kind of crowd control stuff, I'll help you out with that.
Great. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Who wants to be in the credits?
Of course. Oh, you definitely will be. I assure you.
E-grip.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I think Kevin was asking last time for executive producer.
Exactly. I'll be an associate producer. You don't have to make me an executive producer.
All right, great. Like a silent partner type thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not looking for a ton of, accolades, just something. So, all right. So can we get any other questions, discussions, comments? Adam, you have any more asks?
That's it. I promise.
Okay, good. So, can we get a motion with the sort of the additional basketball court, I guess, is right for this Thursday,
Right.
just to make it all official?
I could do that. I'll make a motion to approve the current schedule for the LPS drama rehearsal and filming as outlined in this PowerPoint. How's that sound?
Sounds with the additional Thursday, March
Thursday,
11th.
March 11th, yes. Same time, right?
Yes,
Same time frame,
3:30.
3:30 to 6:30?
All right, second?
All right, so let's vote. Mike,
Mike's a yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Kevin is a yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Adam. Good luck.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
much.
Adam. Good luck.
All
Thanks,
right.
Adam.
Thank you.
I'll see you Thursday.
See you Thursday.
All right, and we also have Geraldine Miller here to give us an update on the rock garden at 300 King as well. So welcome, Geraldine. Thanks for taking some time to come chat with us.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're pretty excited. We're hoping to get this all kicked off this spring. And so as you know, the design is all set. You've seen all of the plans and drawings and the concept. But right now, one key piece is we're waiting. We met with Mike Cataldo, and he looked at the site and understands what needs to be done. So he's reviewing the scope of work. He's figuring out what he'll do as a gift and what he'll need to be paid for. So that's pretty key. We have deleted the permanent edging around the perimeter of the labyrinth, which will save quite a bit of money, and it will look more natural and kind of fit in with what is already existing at the site. So we hope to get an answer from Mike very soon, so we can start planning and get a schedule going. Beginning of install, the finish. Hoping to set a time for the opening, so people can bring their rocks, and that'll be a nice event. Then there's also a Girl Scout troop that would like to help maintain the project, and we're looking to coordinate that. And then, the girls get older, the troop disbands, and so we want to get a plan, and so this project will be passed from troop to troop as time goes on. And the Garden Club has also offered to assist in the maintenance as well. And, they do so much around town. It's absolutely gorgeous. So we're happy to have their help. So, there's plenty of help, and people are excited and want to join in. So that's basically the update so far. Don't have any hard dates or commitments from Cataldo, but we're working on it.
Very good. Very good. Any comments, questions, concerns?
I just have one concern. A couple of the different facilities that we have been maintained by troops, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts in the past. And, the understanding is that, yes, they would pass it on from troop to troop, but often we see that it does not really happen. So that's the piece of, it's good that they have this commitment at this time, but I think it would also be beneficial to also think about, well, if they cannot continue or choose not to continue, how would we maintain that after the fact?
Mm-hmm. Well, the garden, maybe it's the Garden Club, because this isn't going to be really high maintenance.
Yeah.
Essentially, what do you call it? What do you call the mulching? The mulching will need to be replenished from time to time, just like Castle in the Trees needs to be done. Tidy up the edging, things like that.
So actually that brings up a question. We had talked at one point about, rather than using wood chips, doing something a little more firm that would be better for access, like stone
That's
dust
right.
or.
Yeah, stone dust. I remember that. I was at that meeting, right? Mm-hmm.
So I guess
It actually
yeah, I
lasts
would,
longer.
what's that? Yeah, I would think it would last longer and also be more accessible.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, as long as that's included in the planning and the discussions with whoever's doing the install.
Yes.
And were there any issues? And forgive me, my memory's not great, but wasn't there like a wetlands or it was like an encroachment sort of issue with some property?
No, I met with Amy Green. That was a concern a while back. So after
Okay.
the Park Commission had voiced that concern, I met with Amy Green from Conservation. And she said, we are good to go, no issues.
Okay, perfect.
Geraldine, do you know, I know you said you don't have any idea as far as like start and end dates. We just had the meeting with Adam about closing off some of the park for a few dates. And I'm assuming we're going to have to, close for a period of time for, Cataldo to come in and do his work as well. Do you have any idea of how long that might take?
No, but I will get in touch with Mike, because I wonder, what kind of equipment he actually needs to get in there. These aren't very
Yeah.
big paths.
Right.
They're not deep. I can imagine it's going to be large equipment. And it is the site of the labyrinth is off to the side. So I wonder if you have to close. I don't know. You could rope it off.
We could definitely talk about, a portion of it, but I think if there's any sort of heavy machinery, even if it's something small like a bobcat, just for, the safety of the visitors and, for the mental well-being of the person that's actually driving the equipment, it might be best to just not have children around the site at that time.
Okay. I'll let him know that, and I'll figure out, what equipment there is
Okay.
and how
Awesome.
long it will take. I don't think it's going to take very long.
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty quick.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? Very good. Thank you for the update, and we look forward to getting the additional information.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Geraldine.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.
I take it now it's the director's report,
It is.
since that's the slide. All right, there we go.
So I'll take over for you. All right. It's been kind of a busy month thus far. So there's definitely quite a few things for us to chat about, but we will go into the first part of it, which is our finance reports. So I will switch over to let me move you guys out of the way here for a second. All right, so this is our month review. So one thing that you will notice is one of the things that I've been adding into this on a month-by-month basis is the yearly income chart that comes off of our recreation software, MyRec. Sorry, that was Maverick. And so one thing you'll notice is that it gives us really great statistics as far as what we're doing year over year. And so every time that we log in, we get this yearly income report on our dashboard. And it's been really helpful just for us to kind of see where we've been with COVID. You can see at the beginning where it says April and May. The aqua clearly is when we were going through all the issues that we had with COVID, since we are now officially a year in. When we look at February and March, then the numbers are a little bit skewed, specifically because I've mentioned in previous financial updates that we are not going to take in any fees, registration fees for programs that are going to start in the next fiscal year. We're going to wait until July 1, which is the start of our fiscal year, to be able to do that, just because we have very skewed, like a bell curve that just doesn't really give us an idea of what we really do have in a specific year. So, that's one thing that you would see the difference in numbers, because we'll have an influx of money coming in July for people that are paying for, weeks C through G of camp and sailing programs and teen adventures. Sorry. So for right now, this year, this month in February, come here. We were in the positive. So we had $7,748 in the positive. So it's good. We're having a good trend. December was the only, sorry, come here. December was the only month that we ended up being in the negative, just because we had some bills that kind of came up that, we needed to take care of from other companies that were ending their fiscal year. Otherwise, month to month, we're doing pretty good. It's, slow, but as would be expected in a pandemic, we're hanging in there. Sorry. All right. So overall, the year to date, current net of the department is 83,000. So we still have the rest of March, April, May, and June to get through, and we'll see more increase of revenue because we have to open the beach passes, which we're looking at April 1st for the first time that we're going to start offering season passes for the beach. Matt, chill. Sorry. That's where we are at right now financially. Clearly, Maverick is not excited about the financial report. Any questions about finances right now?
Nope.
Okay. If something pops up and you need, you can email me, call me, we'll set up a Zoom, something like that. So now he wants to come over. Sorry.
Don't be.
What's going on with you? All right.
Alicia, I didn't have it.
I'll go back.
Slides included? Were they included with the email you sent out today?
Say that one more time.
The slides included with the email you sent out today.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I was just wondering if we could get a copy of the slides, that's all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's no problem with that at all. I can totally do that.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on here. So this is kind of more of the, I guess, more serious stuff that's happened this week that, we kind of need to have a discussion and figure out what we want to do as far as budget-wise goes. So Fincom decided that they didn't think that because we were an enterprise fund that we should be receiving capital funds. So they have also decided that the $40,000 in major equipment and repairs that we would normally get, that we will not be getting that this year. So we will be getting no capital funds at all. We do need those capital funds to be able to operate and take care of any equipment issues that pop up throughout the year. So I guess the discussion that we ultimately have is, do we change the amounts that we're requesting being taken out of the reserve for the next fiscal year? So at last meeting, we talked about 60,000, which was approved by all of you. And that 60,000 included 25,000 that would go to special events. 5,000 that would go to fill out recreation wages. And then the $30,000 to complete the statistically valid survey. So, as I've kind of revisited the budget, trying to figure out a way to sort of balance it and make sure that we're going to have enough money to include all of these changes that have come along. I think the recreation wages would have to be padded out a little bit more. So we would need to do the 19,000 to be able to make sure that balances out. That also has to be connected to the position that we are currently looking to hire. And I'll get to that in a little bit here. But they're looking at, they being human resources and the town administrator's office, are kind of looking at changing what that role is so that they would have a little bit more of like an office manager role that would help out a lot more with the finances, which would loosen up time for me to be able to do more of my director role than to constantly be embedded in the finances as I have been, or felt like I have been for the last 2 years. So, I think it's a really good opportunity. And I did send out that job description today. I don't know if you guys got to read it or not. Essentially what the ask would be at this point in time is, the 60,000 that we talked about at last meeting, and then increasing it to by 54,000. So that would include $4,000 for major equipment and repair that's taken out of our reserve. So to be clear, if we don't use that money, it goes right back into the enterprise for the reserve to be used another time. So that money it's kind of a smart move to put it into the budget simply for the fact that if we need to use that money, it's accessible. If we don't put it in and we need to access the money, then we have to wait till town meeting to get that money transferred over, which delays the process. And like I said, if we don't use it, it just rolls right back into the enterprise reserve, and that's something that we could use at another time. So that's a lot of information and a big change. So, feel free to throw out any questions that you all have about that.
Do we know what prompted this change from Fincom?
Yeah, so I think it's something that the finance office has been discussing with them for a while. I don't, our office hasn't really been communicated with through a lot of these changes. But the last Board of Selectmen meeting that they had, the discussion was that talking about the proper use of capital, right? So I do 100% agree with them that capital is supposed to be a one-time thing. And we have been getting this $40,000 chunk year after year after year. So I do agree with them that is something that needs to change. It's just unfortunate that decision is made, a week and a half before our budgets are due to be set, for town meeting. So, there really wasn't a lot of time given for discussions or, even trying to have a discussion about does our general fund subsidy increase. So I think at this point in time, everybody's sort of strapped for cash, and we're kind of the easy person to knock off money from. So I think that's kind of where this is coming from. Additionally, I think these type of accounts, so highway had one, and fire department also had one of these major equipment repairs that year after year was used. And so those two, because they are not enterprise funds, will now be rolled into a account that would be a reserve fund for Fincom, so that fire and highway would have to come before Fincom, if there's an emergency, for them to be able to free up that money. But typically when we're doing capital funds, it should be a specific request, and it should be specifically like a one-time use. So sorry, that was a little long-winded, but
No, it's fine.
that answered.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So that's gonna probably be it's not just for this year. That's gonna be a change. That's probably permanent.
I believe that is the understanding.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm looking at this list and pretty much everything here, I think the department needs. We've missed special events, and I think, people are gonna be looking forward to it this next coming year. I think that's very important, and we've been putting off the statistical valid survey for a while, and you need to have something on hand just in case you can't, if your truck goes down, you can't say, okay, gotta wait for the next, the next town meeting to address it, right? So, it's just, the tough thing for me is we have a lot of things on the horizon that we want to tackle, and that's part of what the enterprise reserve, at least in my mind, is for. And so that's kind of like the trade-off.
Right. And that was another point made by Fincom, is that, when you look at Mass General Law, it does say that our reserve should be where we're, getting our capital funds from. The other side of that is that, we don't really have a facility that allows us to make the type of revenue that a typical enterprise does.
Right.
So we're kind of in this, like, between a rock and a hard place.
Chicken and egg. Yeah.
So Alicia, what would the total sort of like revised ask be, and then what would the balance in the reserve be?
Yeah, so at the very top, that 114,000 would be the ask that would encompass everything that we would need. And if we have $278,000 and $4 in reserve, and we take out that 114, then we would have 164,000 left in the reserve. And we also don't know at this point in time. We know it's going to be close. We don't know if we're going to come out, a little bit in the positive this year. That is my hope, and I really do believe with all of the. I'm so sorry. I really do believe with all of the. Detail that we've been paying attention to our finances at this point in time, that is my hope, is that we are going to come out in the positive. But we don't know that. That's the way enterprises work. It's, a crapshoot sometimes.
And so in terms of the other pieces of the budget, was there a decision to not make any changes when they pulled the capital piece out, or was it just not covered at that time and we don't know what's going to happen there?
Can you say that one more time? I'm so sorry.
So I'm trying to understand if on the general fund side, was there a definitive decision made that they weren't changing any part of the budget there, or was it just that it wasn't covered? Or
so in the discussion that they had, it was brought up, and just kind of not really. I guess the conversation just moved more to whether we should be getting the 40,000 or not how they could help subsidize some of that. I don't think that was necessarily the point of their meeting, and I don't know if there really is funding available from the town to increase what that percentage is.
Okay.
Any other questions? Saul, I see the wheels turning.
Yeah, no, I guess my thinking is, I mean, I agree with Mike that everything here is essentially necessary. I'm just trying to think what do we need to do going forward to not be doing this every year? And is that discussion with Fincom and others about what the subsidy is, or do we need to look at other, how we budget, or how we, come to a number that we're not doing this every year and we're actually building up the reserve fund, not drawing it down.
Yeah.
Well, I think the survey is a one-time thing.
The survey is certainly a one-time thing, right?
Yeah. The other, I think, are more than likely going to be reoccurring. It's a chicken and egg. I agree with Alicia, as where, unless you can have a way where you can bring in revenue through some of, people talk about community centers, swimming pools, areas where, you can run programs. Right now we have Long Lake, but I mean, that's not a, and I see big ticket items in the future here. I see, it's going to be kind of incumbent upon us, to help out with finances for things like a new park, a new, or playground, a dog park. We had items on that capital list, and it's going to be tough to try to, to do that with a combination of what we have in enterprise reserve and whatever makes sense through CPC funds. There's going to be a shortfall.
So, I mean, the one thing that I can say is that, the exercise that's been really helpful for our department right now is, we've really, I have to hand it to Tim, Rachel, and John, when it comes down to budgeting and making sure that we're incurring all of our indirect costs and trying to do models and figure out what the fees actually need to be. We've all been working really hard on that this year. So that's something that, we've very much implemented. The part that I get concerned about is, we're going to get to a point where things become so expensive that the program rates go up so much that, they're just not even going to be accessible, but for certain, I guess, financial levels. So, that's the piece of, we are okay right now, but looking forward in the future that we do need to be really cognizant of that. And, that's also part of our mission statement, is to be able to keep those programs accessible and the cost down so that, we're serving all of the residents or have the capacity to serve all residents of the town. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be an ongoing conversation. I don't think this is something that we will come up with an answer tonight. I think, we need to have some conversations with the finance department and town administrator's office and, start there first. And then if we need to start, having conversation with boards, that's kind of our next step. So that's just, my professional opinion, but it's up to you guys what you would like to do.
So the short term is we need to sort of move on if we're gonna move on amending the amount of money, that has to be this month, or is that something like what's the timeline for that in the sort of short term?
Yeah, so we're kind of coming towards the end of getting things in for articles. So we do have to have draft articles in by the 18th of March, which is next week. So I do have some articles after this for us to go through and vote. We can make some amendments to that, and you know, I would say probably 2 weeks before town meeting, maybe even more. It's as soon as they make the decision that they're going to go ahead and print all of those pamphlets. I don't know what term you want to call them, but you know, we have kind of up until that point to sort of make some changes and tweak things, but the basis of what the article is going to be does need to be approved and sent forth to the town administrator's office before the 18th of March.
Okay. May or March?
March.
March, okay.
Did I say
That's
May? I'm
like
sorry.
10 days.
10 days. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So I agree with Mike and Saul. You know, I think things that are listed are important. You know, the survey is going to be a one-time thing. So it's a big expense, but I think it's necessary because that drives then sort of future asks and future programs and you know, the future of where the department goes. So, you know, I personally would be in favor of, you know, amending the ask for, I forget it was the 114, I believe. And it scares me a little bit because that's half of the reserve, you know, so
Right.
that's a big ask, but I think that short term we do that, and then long term we have to really have those tough financial conversations about how we're going to sort of make things happen.
Agreed. Yeah.
And in theory, the $40,000, if we don't use it, it gets put right back in the reserve also, so.
That's correct. Yep.
And what is, I mean, do we know, has that sort of been a typical number or a high number for over the last few years?
So I have been really cautious the last couple of years. So I kind of have been holding on to those funds and making sure that we're only using them kind of in, I don't want to say emergency situations, but you know, I'm not going to put all the money into buying like a brand new van when we still have things like, you know, the roof needs to be fixed at Long Lake. So, you know, I try to, if something pops up, so a good example is, you know, we had to have one of those trees removed at the beach, right? That was kind of we scheduled that, it just needed to get done. You know, we had some issues with the masonry at Castle in the Trees. So, you know, we had to bring in a mason to fix those, and that was you know, just get it done. So I do try to hold on to those funds for those just get it done moments. And then, you know, if we have somewhat of a surplus, then we start chipping off all of the other things that I've kind of been holding off on. So if
Yeah.
we're cautious with the 40,000, then we're not going to blow through it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, right. Okay. That sounds good. I guess as you go through those things, it strikes me that, you know, like the van is clearly a park and rec asset and function and our responsibility. You know, the parts of the town property that we're maintaining seem like maybe they, you know, is not entirely our responsibility. And, you know, that goes back to maybe getting Fincom as part of that reserve or highway department, somewhere else, if it's, we're doing maintenance for town property and improving the town, does that come back to the town a little bit more than directly out of the enterprise budget?
It's definitely something to have to consider because, at some point, the courts will have to be redone. And at some point, even the tennis courts that we have,
Right.
those will have to get redone, nets. It's not just Park and Rec that runs programs on these courts. I think they're a town asset as well. So I agree.
Yeah, it's striking to me that we had to take money out of the enterprise fund for a tree. Like that, I would think that's a highway, or a public works kind of thing. That's striking to me too. So,
Yeah.
Well, no, previously that money was coming from capital from the town, right? So
Correct.
that was,
Yeah, so that was the tree and the masonry was something that, was paid for out of the capital fund from the town.
oh, I see.
I
Okay.
think so.
In future, so Kevin,
Right.
if that stuff happens this next year, then you're correct. We would be doing
Right.
that. We would be doing
Yeah.
that.
Right.
so yeah, I mean, it makes sense for it not to be capital, but it also, I think we need to have a discussion with them about who's responsible for what and how do we balance those things.
Agreed. Yep. So on the PowerPoint is the first of those articles that specifically has to deal with the transfer of funds that we were just talking about. So this is the overall operating budget article. So included in there where I kind of have highlighted, underlined, it has that sentence that I updated if you chose to move forward with it. So, part of that is the PRC Enterprise Fund retained earnings balance is certified at $278,004, of which 114,000 is proposed to be applied to fiscal year 2020. 25 will go to the special events revenue line. 19 will go into the recreation wage account line. 30 will go to pay for the completion of a strategically valid survey, and 40,000 for major equipment and repair fund.
All right. Any discussion, more comments, questions on the article, or?
They probably want to change that last line too as well. They saw it in the motion, right? But not in the bottom. It should be select board at the bottom as well.
So eventually they will have a discussion and vote all of the town meeting articles. So it's kind of set up for the town administrator's office to just kind of plunk everything down into that report that gets sent out to everybody.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about though, right? That last line should say Finance Committee, Park and Rec Commission,
Yep.
and select board. Okay. Are you looking for a motion? Are you looking for a motion? I can give one.
Yeah, because
She's just talking about we changed from the Board of Selectmen to the Select Board.
yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can absolutely do that. That's no problem. What was I going to say? So yes, because the last time at February meeting, we voted for the 60,000 transfer, and this is definitely an increase.
I can make a motion to approve article that supports the fiscal year 2022 Park and Recreation and Community Education Enterprise Fund operating budget.
Second.
All right. So for a roll call, Mike,
Mike's yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
Kevin is yes.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on to the next one. So this is, Mike, I don't know if you want to talk about this a little bit more, since Tim is not here. Hold on, it didn't switch over. Here we go. So this was the, we had an original article that went in the previous year for the CP or the Community Preservation Committee request for Long Lake renovation project. And so it needed to, we had, some questions about whether engineering costs were, part of that or not. So we've worked that all out with the CPC, as well as with the finance department office. So this is the amended article that will allow us to continue and finish the project for the renovation down at Long Lake.
Yeah, I forgot that we actually had 2 CPC meetings in the span of our Park and Rec meetings. And that often happens around town meeting. But I think you covered it. That was just essentially a rewording of the article, and they had some concerns on verbiage. One of the things was calling it actually. This is not the amended one, because they didn't like the verbiage on additional office space. That's been changed.
You are correct on that.
Yeah.
Because I remember we talked about that. We were going to call it. So that was something we didn't change in-house yet. So I will make sure that I have.
There were a few items that were changed here. I don't know if I didn't get the minutes. I could check.
Okay. I can reach out to Mitt and Cheryl from finance and make sure that we have the most up-to-date version of it. But the major point was including the engineering costs and all the trade works as required.
Teddy! Sorry.
But yeah, Mike, you are absolutely correct that does need to be updated to lifeguard space, lifeguard.
Yeah, I'm looking through the minutes and they don't have it down there. Essentially, they said that it was amended. That's all they made note of.
All right. I'm going to go to another room. I think Mr. Maverick is freaking out a little too much. All right. So once I get to my desk, I will update that.
Like a Zillow, you can sell your house and we can go tour.
Blocking you guys get the view of my house here. All right, I'll turn that on. So we have some light. Okay, a little bit better now. All right, so this we were going to get rid of.
Yeah, I think the other point too is that this had to get put in front of town council to get their review on it. So that was the other item that they had discussed.
Okay. So I guess what I would ask is, we clearly there still has to be some work done on the town side of the town side of this, but at least if we can approve that we want this article to go into town meeting, that would be, I guess, the ask that I have for this evening.
I don't know about the others. I'm fine with it because I was at the meeting and I assume you've got the idea, what identically, what we agreed upon at the meeting, I assume you have, and that it's only left up to talk to town council.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kevin, Saul, and Sean need to see what I saw and be fine with it.
I'm fine with it. I trust your guys' judgment on it.
Yeah, I trust you. So do we need a motion to support the amended Article 8?
So the way that I wrote the motion was motion to support the fiscal year 2020 CPC article that amends the wording from previous year to include clarity on items that need to be completed for the renovation at Long Lake.
2022, correct? Not 2020.
2022, yep.
Okay.
So moved. Can we go? Do you have that written somewhere, or you can include it in the notes? So
Yeah, I'm doing. That's why I apologize. I'm trying to do the Zoom stuff, the PowerPoint stuff, and the minutes all on one tiny little laptop.
No need to apologize.
You know what? Next meeting, if Tim's not around and Fred's, I don't have a problem running the PowerPoint, slides.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
If you want to forward them, I can do that. So.
Okay. Yeah, we typically put it up on like a Google Meet so we can share it that way.
Yep.
But yeah, I can definitely do that. I appreciate that, Mike.
Okay.
All right. So Saul.
So there is that last item though. I assume you haven't reached out to town council yet, right? So.
That's not up to me to do that. So that has to come from the town administrator's office. I don't have the, status to reach out to town council to do that.
So what was the commission thinking of when they asked? It seemed like that was something that Park and Rec had to drive. That was the feeling I got when I was in the meeting.
I'll double check with Cheryl, but typically I mean.
So you think Cheryl was going to take the ball on this one? So your thought was Cheryl was going to take the ball out with this on this one?
Yeah, because she, she's more at that like executive level than,
Then I think it makes sense to close the loop with her then, just to make sure,
Yep.
To me, I was fine with it, but the fact that somebody mentioned town council there, it's like,
And let me get back to here. Okay. So we took care of that one. So this last one, the main purpose, did I lose
Alicia,
it? Yeah.
we didn't vote on that last one.
Oh, you didn't. Yes, it was moved and seconded, but you guys did not do the roll call. That's correct.
Yep. All right. So I think, I don't know, was Sean that made the motion?
No, it was not, but I don't think it was seconded. I'll second it.
It wasn't seconded either.
I second it.
Okay, so Saul, all right, so roll call, Saul,
yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Mike,
yes.
and Kevin's a yes.
Excellent. So then the last town meeting article that we have to discuss is more of a just in case. And again, this kind of goes back to the, I do think that we're going to be in the positive this year. We're not going to be in the positive a lot, but just in case we do incur debt, similar to what we did last year when we had a lot of debt, we had to put an article in that would take care of that debt to be able to zero balance it out. So that, the books were all set and that we could move on to the next year. So
how does this work? Does this get striked, from town meeting?
If we don't need to actually use the article, we can rescind it like the day of.
Okay.
And we'll know by then what the result was, or? Okay.
Yeah, so like I've been doing the report with you guys on the monthly basis, and then we have the overall net of what's left in the department. So each month we get to the place where, like right now we have the net of, go back to it, it was like 83,470. So that's the net. That's all, including the revenue, expenses, and wages that have come out to date. So that's what we have left in the account at this time. And it fluctuates because last month it was higher at like 91. So it definitely, and it was like 73 the month before. So it fluctuates up and down. But as long as we are still, in the positive with months, a couple months ago, we're doing really well. So, if this number drastically dips down, then, we might have to really think about sort of shutting down any of the expenses. I don't want to have to like furlough staff, but, that's always a possibility if we're really trying to stay out of a debt, for this year. So, yeah, so this last article is just in case we end up accruing some debt, to just have it on the books as a backup.
Just a nitpick again, it's select board, right?
Yeah, I'll fix all that stuff. I apologize. A lot of these are based off of templates from previous years. So yeah, I'll fix it.
All right, any other questions, comments? All right, can we get a motion?
I can make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 transfer of some undetermined amount.
Second.
Contingent upon where we are closer to town meeting.
Yep.
That's about the best way I can word it, I think.
I'll keep you guys up to date, with our monthly check-ins on, where we're at with that.
All right, I heard a second from Sean there. So Mike,
Mike's a yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Saul,
Yes.
and Kevin is a yes.
All right, so just an update on wages and staffing. So one of the things that's kind of come up over the last couple weeks as we're finishing up with the monitored remote learning program, we're also trying to put together a brochure, get the spring programs out, get everything ready for summer into the registration software, and pull in all the paperwork from participants as well. So it's a bit a heavy month, as well as doing interviews for the summer. So, we're at a place now where the program coordinators do need some additional hours. And typically in the past, we've had the ability to give overtime. So the town is still on a spending freeze. So we've worked out with the finance director that we will be implementing compensatory time with them rather than overtime. So, that would give them, the reality is we can accrue 24 hours worth of compensatory time before they would need to use some of that before they could accrue more. But it's sort of that backup if they do get to a place in the week where they really need to put in the extra time. Like a lot of the interviews for the summer programs are going to be taking place on like nights and weekends. And that's, if we have to still work the monitored remote learning program, there's times where, you can't really help but put in those extra hours those weeks. So that's just a kind of heads up to let you know that we're going to be implementing that. And we don't normally do comp time, but it's the best compromise we could make in the financial situation, that everybody's at due to COVID. So, yeah, just a heads up on that.
Is that comp time like just a 1-for-1, or is it,
1.5.
time and a half? Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay.
Yeah, time and a half. I didn't say that, so thank you for asking.
Okay. No, it should be. That's good.
Yep, indeed. So yeah, absolutely. I just have to like get them to take the time. That's the hard part.
And find the right time, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we definitely have a group of workaholics. All right. So the second part of that was just an update on the administrative assistant position, since we talked about that last month and created a preliminary screening committee for that. In talking with human resources and the town administrator's office, some of the other departments have been upgrading their administrative assistant to more of like a business administrative assistant or like a office manager position. Realistically, the things that are on that job description are things that would really, really help both Tim and I be able to get into more of the director and assistant director role. That's something that, we've kind of struggled with dealing with a lot of these other issues in the last, couple years. So, to find somebody that can really focus their time on the day-to-day finance stuff, whether it's like turning over cash and checks and credit card, taking care of invoices and stuff like that. That's things that typically I do. So I'm trying to do all of that stuff on top of, director roles as well. So, finding somebody that would be able to do that, would be extremely helpful. So, we've taken a little bit of a pause, but I think it will be worth it in the long run to be able to make sure that, we have a position that's really going to support the department, in the way that it needs to be supported. Any questions?
Nope.
Hopefully, so the job description that I did send you guys is going to the personnel board to be graded. So that's, we'll have to see what that's going to come out to be. But I do think it hopefully should be, within the same realm as the previous position. We'll see. All right. So this is something I just want to touch on. And again, this is more of a just information piece, and that, we're going to have to continue to have this discussion as we were talking earlier about, the department finances. So, in the conversations that Tim and I have had the last week, honestly, with the finance department and town administrator, they've kind of voiced that they would like our department to consider changing back to a revolving fund. It's something that I guess in the audit that we get done on a yearly basis, that the auditors have mentioned that they're not sure we're considered a true enterprise. Which, realistically, we know that we don't have an aquatic center, we don't have a golf course, we don't have a community center. So, it's something that we really need to sort of weigh the pros and cons on it, because if we are able to actually move forward in the next couple of years and get a community center, do we switch back to a revolving just to switch back to an enterprise? That's a lot involving, the state, that we don't necessarily have to go through all of that. So, we're going to, on the town side, be having a lot of conversations about that and what that looks like. So, that's just kind of a heads up. And, if any of you want to reach out to the finance director, Cheryl Herrick-Stella, or our town administrator, Anthony Ansaldi, you're welcome to. The second part of that is, one of the things Kevin had kind of mentioned, that, it is scary to take out that much money from a reserve, and that typically a lot of the enterprise reserves, or reserves funds in general, have a policy on like a safety cap that's been in place, has been put in place to ensure that, there's always a minimum amount left in that reserve fund, right? So you don't suck it dry. So, that's something where I've started pooling some of those policies from some other towns. And so, I'll send some of that research out to you guys to just sort of review some of these things. And, we can discuss, when and if we want to put that regulatory policy into place. As you guys are a policy board, so that's up to you guys. So again, not a long conversation, but just a heads up to know that this is coming down the pipeline.
Thank you.
Mike, were you going to ask a question?
Yeah, one question I have is, you said you were looking at other towns to see what they have implemented for a minimum. I'd be curious how many towns, surrounding towns, run as an enterprise or, through revolving funds. I mean, do you have that data, or when you look for the minimum, would you mind seeing how other departments run in that regard? I'd be curious to have that information.
I mean, realistically, in the state of Massachusetts, we have like 400 Parks and Rec departments, and finance is one of those things where everybody's town does it a little bit differently. I'm sure, Kevin, you in Hopkinton do it different than, here in Littleton. And we do have more towns that are on revolving than enterprise. But one of the things our state conference actually started today. And one of the things that the keynote speaker in our question and answer session with them that we sort of talked about was Massachusetts is one of the states, that's a bit different nationally because our departments here in Massachusetts have more pressure to be sustainable than in other states. What's that?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that was something, we brought up as a question because the representative was the CEO from the National Parks and Rec Association. So, we were kind of asking her advice about, if there's a way that the national organization can kind of help support us so that we can sort of, bolster that we're getting that support from our government, simply because in other states, it's kind of not even a question. It's automatically done because of all of the public service, the, economic and health benefits that come from recreation departments. So yeah, we're kind of a little bit of an oddity in that aspect. So, but sorry, that was a bit long-winded, but yes, I will get you that information.
So what would be the benefit of the revolving fund? Meaning that...
Right. So we were on a revolving fund previously.
Yeah.
And the in between when the last director left and the interim year and when I came in, during the interim year, the finance director at the time had switched the department over to an enterprise. And I think her thought was that, you have to be really open on the overall amounts that are in the or in the budget. But you have an ability to kind of move money around a little bit more and you have a lot more flexibility. One of the other positives of having an enterprise is, if we go into a negative throughout the year. So for example, I mentioned that bell curve earlier about our finances. We have a lot of money that comes in at the beginning of our fiscal year in July and in August. And we have a lot of money that comes in at the end of our fiscal year. So, April, May, and June. And the rest of the year, especially the end of the fall and into the winter, it's kind of like a money desert. So if, during those times, in the winter, we would actually go in the red, we can still operate. Whereas if we were running off of a regular general fund, we would essentially have to stop what we're doing and, wait either for finances to be fixed to be able to move forward, or, you might be just done for the year. So the other thing with revolving, and I need to do a little bit more research because a lot of things have changed with revolving over the last couple years. So I need to kind of reacquaint myself with Mass General Law, specifically with revolving funds. But in previous years, there's regulatory caps for these revolving funds, and not the it's a maximum. You can only have X amount of money in an account. So let's say that the cap is 25,000, and you make 30,000, the town can just take that extra 5,000 and pull that right back into free cash. And it does not necessarily go back to the recreation department. It could go to any other department that they choose to fund out of free cash. So, there's pros and cons to everything. And like I said, I want to do a little bit more research. And I think ultimately, this board, this committee, the town administrator's office and finance department, and, us at the department, we really need to figure out what's the best thing financially to do for our department and for the town. So I'm trying to be sort of open and being flexible to different ideas and options. That's, I guess, all I can say at this time.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yep, no problem. All right. What else do we have here? So, Mike, you had asked for us to have that discussion on the capital requests. And, we've talked about it a little bit, throughout the night about finances. And, there's a lot of stuff that we kind of have to shore up. The enterprise versus revolving is one of those things before we really start getting into a discussion of, looking at capital requests. Because right now, we weren't given the 30,000 for the statistically valid survey. And then we also, had the 40,000 for major equipment removed. So, I don't know if it's worth our time right now, quite frankly, to discuss this until we get some of those things figured out. But it is a good conversation piece. We definitely do need to revisit it. Okay. Again, just to touch back on our basketball courts, you guys made a decision last month that you wanted to open the courts, but you also wanted the select board. I need to get into that change. The select board to weigh in, as well as the Board of Health. So I was on the agenda for the February 22nd Board of Selectmen meeting, and they did make the decision to support the Park Commission's decision to open the courts. I have requested to be on the Board of Health agenda, but I just have not heard back yet. So I know they're overwhelmed still with COVID. So I will check back in with them again tomorrow and see if I can get on the next agenda. But the Board of Selectmen have approved to move forward. So we have, part of that finished. I don't think Tim really had any update on CPC Long Lake renovation. I just kind of had it in there just in case. We already talked about the article that needs to go to town meeting. So we're pretty much up to date on that. So... Hey.
Oh, their favorite slot now. Sorry.
I'm always the one. Somebody else can go.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second. I'll save Sean from seconding it as well.
All right, so roll call vote. Saul,
Yes.
Mike,
Mike's yes.
Sean,
Yes, sir.
Kevin is a yes, I guess.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I
Thanks,
appreciate
everybody.
it.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Peace.